Welcome everyone to a new series and a new layout. In this series called the Human Pokedex, I'll be explaining to you all about the different Pokemon characters in our shop called Aladdins Cave Gifts Gaming, like this one called Magikarp. Right, before this series begins, could you please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we are a very unique business and we have something for everyone, not just Pokemon. But we want to get our voices heard, so the only way to get our voices heard is by liking and subscribing and sharing our videos to everyone sort of that might be interested in us. Right, shall we begin? Right. We shall start with everyone's classic. This one is called Bulbasaur, and he is a grass type Pokemon. And he is also a starter Pokemon. And starter Pokemon is kind of like in the video games, you will always kind of find one, and this will always sort of be like your starter Pokemon, and there's always going to be like 3 starter Pokemon. This is Bulbasaur. This one here is Charmander, and he is a fire type. And we also have Squirtle, and he is a water type. And in the video games you have to choose between one of the 3 to make them your starter Pokemon. So you can choose between the 3. Right, that's them 3. Next we have, this one is called Pidgey. And Pidgey is a flying type, and also I think he's a normal type as well. But sort of this is sort of your earliest Pokemon that you can find in the wild in some of the Pokemon games. There we go. Right. This one is called Zubat. And he is a flying type in the game, as well as I think a poison type in the game. And sort of, he is your traditional bat, so sort of like flies around in the dark and things like that. Mostly spotted in caves in the Pokemon game. Right. This one here is called Machop, and Machop is a fighting type. And sort of, there's all different types in the Pokemon games, and I think there's about 18 different Pokemon types. There's all sorts of like fire, water, psychic, ground, fairy type, which is a newer one. But he is fighting type, and he also moves his arms as well, and legs, and even head. Next off we have Pikachu. Pikachu is always going to be a fan favourite to everyone, so this is what you're going to hear most of when it comes to Pokemon. If you're new to Pokemon, you'll definitely hear Pikachu called the most, because he is the mascot of Pokemon in Japan. And sort of that's what he looks like, all happy. And also Pikachu is a electric type. Next off we have Golduck. And Golduck is a water type. And he is kind of like a duck kind of look about him. And sort of he is one of them Pokemon that has a evolution, and sort of there is a Pokemon called Psyduck, and sort of Psyduck evolves into Golduck, which is this one here. Next off we have, this one is called Horsey, and Horsey is a water type, and he is based around a seahorse. Sort of swims with his tail fin at the back there. That's Horsey, and he is a water type. Going on base of water types, this one is called Magikarp, and sort of he is a fish, and sort of in the games he is kind of a weak fish, but he has a evolution called Gyarados, and he is kind of the most powerful kind of water types in sort of the earlier games. So he is kind of like a weakling to start off with, but very strong once he levels up and evolves into Gyarados. And he is a water type. Right. This one is called Meowth. And Meowth is a normal type. But to the people in the know, he is one of Team Rocket's partners. And sort of in the anime series, sort of cartoon series, a Meowth of Team Rocket, he can speak sort of English. But this is what he looks like. All different things like that. Right. Up next we have this one. This one is called Vaporeon, and he is a water type. And Vaporeon is got 8 different kind of evolutions of Eevee, and Eevee is this one here. So basically this is Eevee, he is a normal type, and Eevee can evolve into 8 different other types, and this one sort of Eevee can evolve into Vaporeon, as well as this one here called Glaceon, and Glaceon is an ice type. Vaporeon, which I've had over there, is a water type, and Eevee is a normal type. And also for the Pokemon card people, we do also have the Pokemon card of Eevee. Because I'm a very big Pokemon card collector myself, and I've been collecting for many, many years, and I've got in my collection about over 20,000 individual Pokemon cards myself, so I've been doing that a very long time. But I will be showing you more Pokemon card videos in a later date. But for now, this series is about the Pokemon figures. Right. This one here is called Vulpix. And Vulpix is a fire type. And sort of he's one of the earlier generations of Pokemon. I think Generation 1. So all the Pokemon fans of Generation 1 will understand who this one is. But in the people who might not know, in the newer games of Pokemon, specifically Pokemon Sun and Moon, there is a region called the Alolan region, and the Alolan region has different kind of types of different Pokemon of kind of the same group. So basically we have Vulpix here, and there's also called this one as well, and this one is Alolan Vulpix, and he is an ice type. So we have the fire type, which is the original one, and in the Sun and Moon games, which is one of the video games, he turns into an ice type. And these both evolve into a Pokemon called Ninetales, which is sort of a bigger, more impressive looking kind of like fox thing. And sort of so this one here is Vulpix, the fire type, and this one here is the Alolan Vulpix, which is an ice type. Right. Up next we have this one. This one is called Piplup. And Piplup is a penguin. And Piplup is also a starter. And starter Pokemon, sort of, you can only find like one in your video games to start off with. And sort of, I do believe his mouth moves as well. And this one also evolves later on in the game into this one. This one is called Empoleon. And I do believe Empoleon is a water and ice type. So basically, Piplup evolves once, which is into a different Pokemon. As well, it evolves twice as well into Empoleon. Right. Let's see. Moving on with the starters again. This one is called Snivy, and Snivy is a grass type, and Snivy is also a starter type. And this is the starter from the series Black and White, which is about 2011. So about 14 years ago now. And this is Snivy. And this one here is called Tepig. And Tepig also is kind of like a match against Snivy as well. So Snivy is a grass type and Tepig is a fire type. And in most of the Pokemon games, you will find a grass type, a water type and a fire type. And sort of... and depending on the different series or games you play, you have different kind of starters. And this is the starters of Black and White. But there is also one called Oshawott as well, which is a water type. So we have Tepig, which is a fire type, and we have Snivy, which is a grass type. Right. We have this one here. This one here is called Poplio. And he is kind of another starter type, but he is a water starter type from the series called Sun and Moon, which is sort of a newer video game. And I do believe he's based around a seal, and he's a water seal. Next off we have... I'm going to show these as a pair. This one here is called Kyogre, and this one is a legendary of the water type. And legendaries are kind of similar to starter Pokemon, where legendaries you can only find kind of like one in the game of sort of like Kyogre. There's not many Kyogres kind of roaming about. And sort of this one here is called Groudon, and this is kind of a ground type legendary. And sort of these are kind of a pair in kind of the video games of the Sapphire and I do believe Ruby. So in the Ruby and Sapphire games you will find characters or legendaries like these, Kyogre and Groudon. And sort of these are the main legendaries of Ruby and Sapphire. And sort of Kyogre's a ground type, and Kyogre is a water type, and sort of based around a whale and some other monster. Right. Let's see what else we have. This one here is called Axew. And Axew is sort of a dragon type. And sort of he is sort of a baby dragon type. And he can evolve twice as well into a Pokemon called Thraxior, as well as Haxorus. But this one here is called Axew. There's that one. Right. We have this one here. He is called Krogunk, and he is a poison type. And sort of, he's kind of like a mix between a dart frog and another character, but sort of he does stand on two legs. And he is also in the cartoon series. And this one's called Krogunk. We've only got a few left. This one here is called Roserade, and sort of like based around flowers, and sort of Roserade is a grass type, and I do believe a poison type as well. But again, a little bit on the older generation. And that one's called Roserade, and we've only got a few left. This one here is called Rockruff, and he is based around a dog. And sort of he is a rock type. And sort of in general, I think there's about 18 different types in Pokemon. And this is the one called Rockruff. And he also evolves into a Pokemon called Lycanroc, which is also a rock Pokemon. Right, I think there's only 2 left, and I will show you these 2 together. This one is called Lechonk, and this one is called Smoliv. This one is, and these 2 here are some of the most recent Pokemon out there, which I do believe is like Generation 9. And sort of like the original is like Generation 1, and then it goes through sort of the rest of these. But these are sort of some of the newest generations of Pokemon. So Lechonk is, I do believe, a normal type, and Smoliv, I do believe, is a grass type, and Smoliv, I do believe, is like a small olive, and sort of, and Lechonk is based around a pig. But I think Lechonk is kind of one of the most fan favourites Pokemon of the newer generations. And I do believe that's it for the video. Right. So, if you please do like and subscribe and share our videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that would be very much appreciated. And until next time, I guess that would have to do. Cheers!